Okay. Good afternoon, folks. We got lots of things happening in this building today, and it's Agriculture Day as well. So go have your fruits and smell the flowers. All right. We are on the Committee on Water and Land and the Committee on Housing as well. And do I have an opening statement? We don't need to do that for deferred items. Okay. Where's my opening? Sorry about that. We do have instruction. No, where's my cue? Where's my opening statement? Just to let you know that we are on Zoom land, as well as you have heard this about 5 times during a day. And so we would like to, at this point in time, say that those on Zoom land as well, but this is a deferred agenda. But we will proceed as efficient as we can today, and we all welcome you. Today, the deferred agenda is Thursday, February 8th, and it's 1 p.m. Members, we got quorum here just in case we need to take some action. We'll proceed with SB 3053 relating to the conveyance tax. This increases the conveyance tax rate for certain properties. With this measure, there were quite a few non-supporters for this measure as well. And of course, some support. But at this point in time, 2024, as well, and with all the things that's happening in this particular year, Chair's recommendation for SB 3053 in conjunction with the Committee on Housing, Chair's recommendation that we're going to defer this measure indefinitely. Any comments? But otherwise, we'll be deferring. On SB 2804 and
for the Committee on Housing, same. Will be deferring as well.
Thank you. SB 2804 relating to housing. This issue as well, a lot of concerns raised as well. There have been quite a few opposition and of course support, but at this point in time, Chair's recommendation both. Oh, sorry. I'm ahead of my time. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Too many fruit drinks I've had upstairs. Pineapple juice. Okay. No coffee yet. The Committee on Water and Land and Committee on Housing then is going on its agenda item for February 8th, and we're in room 224. SB 2804, and this is relating to housing. And this measure, it authorizes large landowners to petition the Land Use Commission to allow the development of elderly housing on portions of agriculture lands. Land Use Commission. Anyone representing Land Use Commission this morning? Okay, I think they're having some entertainment. They did send a communication with comments. Department of Agriculture. Aloha. Thanks for bearing with us today.
Thank you. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. Dexter Kishida, Deputy at Hawaii Department of Agriculture. The department would like to stand on our comments. We would like to share some concerns that this bill does not inadvertently cause the creation of spot zones of urban development in ag lands, as well as there might be some unforeseen adverse consequences to agriculture. So thank you for allowing us to offer our comments.
Okay, and members, as we have testifiers, and just as we're looking at our clock timing, it's okay to ask questions when they are here. All right? Okay. Any questions for Department of Ag? Senator McKelvey.
Kind of to your point about spot zoning and urban Would it be helpful if we were to try to tie in some of the county zoning that's occurring in the area insofar as trying to ensure protection of the ag lands? I bring this up because in our area, we have, I believe it's ag zone area, but they're trying to build a critical access hospital. So the county has a health and wellness zoning around it, showing that it's not a prime ag land areas. Would that be helpful? And
That would, just to ensure we protect our ag lands as much as possible. Of course, in these circumstances, we also know that there needs to be some balance to it. So if we do have those kinds of guardrails, I think it would make it a little more, it would make it look better. Thank you.
thank you guys.
But you offer no amendments.
Correct. That was a
That was
great
in
idea, though.
response to my question. So, I mean, but yeah.
So we can offer an updated.
Will you please, that would be
Can do.
helpful to the committee?
Thank you.
Okay. Farm Bureau. Okay, Brian Miyamoto and eSense Communication in opposition. Grassroots Institute. Okay, Communications in support. Donna Wong in opposition. Kathleen Pahinui in opposition. Tamara Paulton oppose. Is there anyone else wishes to speak to SB 2804? Okay, members, any questions? Okay, hearing none, your desire? Going to recess or? Okay, we'll go into decision-making with regards to 2804 as well. So you totally, okay, all right. Okay, Chair's recommendation at this time on SB 2804, and this is relating to housing, that we're going to recommend at this point in time to defer indefinitely this measure. Okay.
Same for the committee on housing.
All right. And I think that's it for our agenda. Chair and members of the committees, we appreciate your attendance. Meeting is adjourned.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 1:05 p.m. hearing of the Committees on Housing and Agriculture and the Environment. We're joined today for the Committee on Housing by Vice Chair Hashimoto, Senator Kanuha. We also have Chair Gabbard of Agriculture and Environment.
And we have Senator Rhodes.
And we also have Senator Aquino from the Committee on Housing. So we have one measure on the agenda today, and we'll also follow this agenda with a 1:15 p.m. housing agenda. This meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, February 13th. This room 225, and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. We have a 1 minute per testifier time. Okay, our first measure today is Senate Bill 3047 relating to environmental impact statements, which codifies the exemption from environmental impact statements for affordable housing projects that meet certain criteria. Our first testifier is HHFDC in support. They stand on their testimony. DBED in support. Department of Hawaiian Homelands in support. They stand on their testimony. Affordable Housing Connections LLC in support. NIOP Hawaii chapter in support. Sierra Club of Hawaii in opposition.
There we go. Good afternoon, Chairs, Vice Chairs. Wayne Tanaka with Sierra Club of Hawaii. We're in opposition to this measure. Unlike in contrast to the description, it actually does not just codify the existing affordable housing categorical exemption that's in the rules. It goes far beyond that. It allows for developments on ag lands to proceed without environmental review. It allows such projects to proceed even regardless of the magnitude of potential impact. So it really does stretch the existing exemption far beyond where it currently is. We did have a number of talks with developers and others to try and tweak the existing categorical exemption. But for whatever reason, the meetings we've had with the scheduled with OEQC and under OPSD have been repeatedly canceled. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But happy to continue working on that administrative end. Otherwise, because of the potential for significant impacts that this measure poses, we'd respectfully ask that you hold the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kupuna for the Mo'opuna in opposition. Life of the Land in opposition. EAH Housing in support. Conservation Council for Hawaii in opposition. Outdoor Circle in opposition. Sarah Sugidono in opposition. BIA Hawaii in support. They stand on their testimony. Greg Misakian in opposition. Several individuals all in opposition. Renel Oku, Seth Kamemoto, Jun Shin, David Shizuma, Sherry Pollack, Glenn Otaguro, Kapali Keahi, Janice Mitchell, Jolyn Okimoto, Terry Yoshinaga, Kit Wincoop, Linda Legrand, Eric Kimoto, Robin Kay, Mark Bogart, Diane Ware, Patty Kay, and Gerard Silva. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 3047? Did you submit testimony? Okay, so you're standing on your written testimony in support. Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you, chairs, committee members, vice chair. Aloha, Dexter Kishida, deputy at Hawaii Department of Agriculture. We did not submit written testimony, but feel compelled to offer comments since agricultural district is included in this bill. We just like to ensure that we protect our agricultural lands and ensure there's guardrails to this work. And I know it codifies some of the existing laws that are on the books. And the department also really appreciates the need for affordable housing, but we desperately need to protect our ag lands. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 3047? If not, members, do we have any questions? I'll have a question for the Sierra Club if they're still available.
Yes, oh, there we go. Oh, there we go.
If the bill were amended to remove the agricultural land exemption but retain the urban exemption, what would the position of the Sierra Club be?
I think we'd still have concerns just because under the rules, even if a project might otherwise qualify for categorical exemption, if it does take place in an area that's particularly sensitive, like endangered species habitat, or that's culturally sensitive, then it would have to at least go through environmental assessment. Whereas this bill, the exemption as it's written would allow projects to proceed without any kind of environmental review, regardless of the magnitude of impacts.
But the bill already requires that they not be located in an environmentally sensitive area, right?
Yeah, but it's a somewhat narrow definition of environmentally sensitive in the language of this measure. It looks at in the bill it talks about floodplains and some other things, but it doesn't encompass when you think about like potential impacts like to public health, to sensitive cultural sites or habitats. It doesn't really like speak to those other things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? Okay, if not, that brings us to the end of this agenda. We'll take a short recess and we'll be back for decision. Welcome back from our recess. The committees having conferred will be deferring decision-making until Monday, February 12th at 1:01 p.m. in Committee Room 224 for the Committee on Housing.
Sounds good.
Same for the Committee on Agriculture.
Same for the Committee on Agriculture.
Okay. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of this agenda, and we'll come right back. Afternoon and welcome back. We'll now begin the Committee on Housing's 1:15 p.m. agenda. First measure today is Senate Bill 2078 relating to affordable housing, which permits a contractor, developer, or owner of affordable housing to employ a construction crane or other machinery that temporarily intrudes into a neighboring landowner's airspace under certain conditions. Our first testifier is the Attorney General with comments.
Chair, Vice Chair, good afternoon. Roy Kwan, Deputy Attorney General. So we'd like to highlight three things with respect to this bill. Pursuant to our testimony, we think that there may be a constitutional takings issue, that could be ameliorated by having the law only take effect if the crane is at a certain height. Second, we feel that temporarily needs to be defined, especially in the case of litigation. We don't want a court to have to decide that in a way that frustrates the law, frustrates the purpose of trying to provide affordable housing. And third, I think the last point that we'd like to make that wasn't necessarily covered in our testimony is that I believe that there's some ambiguity as to the purpose of the bill. Page 1 starts off by talking about the jib and the unintentional intrusions that happen when the jib is not in use. However, in page 3, it specifically says that the purpose of the bill is to address intrusions that occur during the construction, repair, or maintenance of affordable housing. I have been in contact with Representative HOU, who has the companion bill, which is identical to this bill. We did suggest that language could be added to address that, to say that the bill covers instances in where there's an intrusion when cranes or other machinery are in use and also not in use. So that way that takes care of the purpose of the bill. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do you have that in writing?
Yes, actually I do.
Can you share that with our committee?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the suggested edit would be on page 3. On line 12, there's housing and a semicolon. So before we get to the semicolon, we are suggesting that after the word housing, the following words can be included, including any intrusion that may occur when the crane or other machinery is not in use. So that covers, you know,
Can you share
both.
that with us?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Our next testifier is BIA Hawaii in support. Stand on their testimony. Anyone else wishing to testify on SB 2078? Okay, we'll move next to our next bill, which is SB 2563 relating to public housing, which requires HPHA to allow any resident of a public housing project or state low-income housing project to keep one or more pet animals in the residence unit subject to applicable state laws, county ordinances, and any reasonable conditions. Provides that the authority may charge a refundable deposit for each pet animal, but shall not impose a monthly pet fee or pet rent. Allows the authority to remove a vicious animal to protect persons or property. Our first testifier is HPHA with comments.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. We stand on our testimony, providing comments. Thank you.
Stand on their testimony. Animal Interfaith Alliance in support. Aloha Kitty TNR in support. Humane Society of the United States in support. Animal Human Support Services in support. Hawaiian Humane Society in support.
Aloha, Chair Chang, Vice Chair Hashimoto, and committee members, Stephanie Kendrick with the Hawaiian Humane Society. We are indeed in strong support of this measure. Hawaii's lack of pet-friendly housing is one of the top reasons that animals are surrendered into Hawaiian Humane's care by people who would much rather keep those animals as part of their family. And low-income families are particularly affected. In fact, the point-in-time count last year found that 29% of our unsheltered homeless have pet animals. And our own outreach team knows, because they go out to help these folks take care of those animals, that the reason they aren't going into housing is because they can't find housing where their pets are allowed. So we would appreciate the committee passing this measure and at least making sure that all of our publicly funded housing is available to pet owners with reasonable rules that don't include things like size and breed restrictions. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Popoki Place Oahu Cat Sanctuary in support.
Aloha, Chair. Aloha, everybody. My name is Holly Hollowak, and I am the founder and president of Popoki Place Oahu Cat Sanctuary. Prior to that, I was the director of U.S. Vets and the director for 17 years at Weinberg Village, Waimanalo, which is transitional housing for homeless families. I can attest that most of the homeless that are on the street with dogs, especially, are refusing to go into housing because they're being asked they have to get rid of their dog or not keep their dog with them, which is a major companion. So I echo the Humane Society's comments. And I also feel that public housing is 90% cement and cement walls, cement floors, so animals won't do much damage. And I think it would be a great asset for the mental health and well-being of the residents there. And I feel that they would be mostly good caregivers, and the amount of times that it would be a problem would be smaller than average.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Then we have several individuals all in support. Tari Kinoshita, Torun Ulmer, Jane E. Arnold, Carol Richelieu, Lynn Madusau, Tara Severns, Stephanie McLaughlin, Donna Marie Samon, Cynthia Tucker, Renee Rabb, and Jennifer Chiwa, all in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on SB 2563? Okay, any questions, members? The chair has a question for HPHA.
Good afternoon, not morning, I apologize. Thank you, Chair.
So we just heard testimony that the pet ban has been an obstacle to rehousing homeless families. Have you found that to be the case?
Not one of the folks that we attempted to serve had this issue, so we're hearing it for the first time. We did not have anyone that was refused housing because they have a pet. I do agree that if they bring comfort and sometimes even medical, we have a process for that called reasonable accommodation, where we do allow the folks to be able to keep the animal for that purpose. The issue that we seen in federal property where we allowing animals is it's beyond that. We're currently in litigation, sued by a tenant who's another tenant's dog did bit them, and we are in the middle of litigation. There's a lot of unintended consequences, but we do recognize the benefit of health of having a pet, and we do allow that through the reasonable accommodation process. Last year, we processed about 50.
How many personnel do you currently need to administer the pet policy for the federal units?
So we don't have just one person specifically to administer this, because it includes the applications, checking on the animal. If the animal does poop or something, we have maintenance that go there. So it's comprehensive. So we have for the federal program, we have 204 federally funded positions that somehow they touch this, let it be maintenance, going to pick up the you know what, or the PHS is checking on the tenants, complaints, excessive barking or something like that, so a variety. And as you know, in the state housing, we have 0 positions.
Thank you. Any further questions, members? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
We'll move on to our next measure today, which is Senate Bill 2836 relating to Maui's permanent housing recovery. establishes within DBED the Interagency Council for Maui Housing Recovery to coordinate and facilitate Maui's permanent housing recovery and facilitate consultation and collaboration between state and county agencies on housing recovery initiatives for the island of Maui. Designates the executive director of HHFDC to serve as the chair of the council, appropriates monies, declares that the appropriation ceiling exceeds the state general fund expenditure ceiling for 24-25, and sunsets 6/30/2034. Our first testifier for Senate Bill 2836 is HPHA with comments.
Stand on our comments. Thank you very much.
Stand on their comments. HHFDC in support.
Stand on our testimony and support.
Stand on their support. OPSD in support. Stand in support. Office of the Governor, State Disaster Recovery Coordinator, comments. Maui Chamber of Commerce in support. And Chair Alice L. Lee, Maui County Council in support. Councilmember Yukile Sugimura in support. And Tamara Paulton with comments. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on SB 2836? Okay. If not, any questions, members? Okay, if not, our next bill today is SB 3120 relating to HPHA, which establishes, exempt from Chapter 76, the position of a housing policy and program coordinator in HPHA, whose salary shall be set by the executive director of HPHA. Clarifies that the employment of certain positions and the adjustment of salaries are authorized by the executive director and not the board of directors. Deletes the wage ceiling requirement for positions in HPHA. Our first testifier is HPHA in support.
Chair, Vice Chair, members stand in strong support of this administrative. Thank you.
Thank you. HGEA in opposition. And Nani B in opposition. Anyone else wishing to testify on SB 3120? Any questions, members? The chair has a question for HPHA.
Aloha, Chair.
So you saw the testimony about the Chapter 76 exemption. Is that required for this position?
We believe so, yes. So first, the other positions are all already exempt that are listed there, except the new one that we're requesting because it's a new one. It's so specific and so specialized that there is no class currently in the civil service. Because we got the MTW designation, this position will need to be somebody who's familiar with specifically the Section 8 program, specifically the public housing program, and specifically the MTW designation, so we are able to coordinate. There is no such person. Even for this position, we'll have to go in the mainland, and even that there is a limited pool because, as you know, out of 3,300 positions, there's less than 100 housing authorities that have this designation that we have.
Are current civil service employees performing the duties of this proposed position?
No,
So who's performing these duties?
it's a new position. We're requesting this to be a new position. Right now, it's me and my deputy and consultants, those kind of things.
Okay, any further questions on this?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next measure is SB 3121 relating to HPHA, making housekeeping amendments to sections 356D8, 356D10, 356D21, 356D22, 356D23, and 356D24 HRS to incorporate the definition of housing project in section 356D11 HRS to align with previous amendments to chapter 356D HRS under Act 251 SLH 2022. Our first testifier is HPHA in support.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members who stand in strong support of this housekeeping measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on SB 3121? And our final bill on this agenda is SB 3277, relating to public housing. Prohibits a determination of ineligibility for tenant applicants for any program under HPHA law due to an eviction unless a writ of possession was issued and served as a result of the proceeding. Our first testifier is HPHA with comments.
We stand on our on comments, Chair.
Thank you. Arjuna Haim in support. Nancy Jones in support, and Zeb Jones in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on SB 3277? If not, members, any questions? Okay, the chair has a question for HPHA.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so as you know, you have an obligation under federal regulation 24 CFR section 960.202A23, including admission of applicants whose habits and practices reasonably may be expected to have a detrimental effect on the residents or the project environment. Would this bill, if enacted, violate your federal obligation under this regulation?
Thank you, Chair. We believe that it will, because when we're no longer going to be able to make sure to preclude admissions for these folks that's mentioned under the CFR 960.203. The bill basically says so long as the person leaves voluntarily, even in the middle of evictions, you can't keep, you just have to house them, even if that person was a criminal, was a drug dealer, was whatever the case may be. So this will be, we believe that it more likely will affect our ability to adhere to this section of the federal.
But what if you have someone who's not, a criminal? What if someone just fell on hard times, was unable to pay the rent and left voluntarily as a cooperative tenant rather than, going through the entire court proceeding?
That person will not be prevented under our existing rules, because when we call, if it's for rent, we know the kind of clientele we serve. They're gonna fall behind. But what this bill does, it includes everybody else, and somebody who damaged the unit, somebody who's causing havoc.
So how do you make that determination?
By talking to the landlord. When we call and check on a tenant, we're looking for criminal activities, basically, and for disturbing the peace, not providing safe and environment. But if somebody's fell out because of paying rent, because they lost job or whatever, those are the kind of people that we actually serve.
How many people who had the proceeding initiated but not the writ of possession do you intake, do you rent among your tenants?
In our experience, the majority of people that going through the evictions, they tend to vacate prior to the writ of possession if they know they're gonna lose the case. That will be the majority. By doing this, then you have to take them.
But out of those applicants who then come to your agency, do they all get rejected, or do some of them,
Only for criminal. If we find that somebody has a criminal issues or the landlords complain about drugs and all of that, those will not be served. The majority will be served. The majority will be served.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the agenda today. Members, should we put it steps, or are you guys ready for anything else? All right, well, why don't we go to recess? We'll go to recess and we'll come back for DM. Afternoon, we're back from recess and we're ready to make decisions on the agenda, the 1:15 p.m. Housing Committee agenda, starting with SB 2078 relating to affordable housing. The chair's recommendation will be to pass this measure with amendments from the Attorney General to only allow the operation only allow for operation of the law when the intrusion occurs above a clearly designated height, by stating that the law does not apply to intrusions that occur 25 feet above the height of the neighboring structure, and that in such cases, normal procedures apply. And second, to provide a definition for temporarily that includes an upper limit namely that the duration of the construction temporarily means for the duration of the construction of the affordable housing project, with a provision that the project is being constructed in good faith, or the construction period is happening in good faith. Third, that the bill will apply both when the crane is in use and not in use. And we also have some technical non-substantive amendments from SMA. Members, any discussion or questions? Okay, so for Senate Bill 2078, Chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Members, SB 2078, recommendation to Chair is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Aquino.
Aye.
Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Senator Owa.
No.
Vote from Senator Owa. Chair, your motion is adopted.
Thank you. Our next measure is Senate Bill 2563 relating to public housing. For this measure, the chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments to add 2 general A funded positions to enforce the policy and to maintain state public housing properties statewide. Okay, any questions or discussion? All right, so for SB 2563, chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Members, SB 2563, pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Any members voting with reservations? Any members voting no? With all others voting aye, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. For Senate Bill 2836 relating to Maui's permanent housing recovery, chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments. We'll take the amendments of the governor's state disaster recovery coordinator to include the state disaster recovery coordinator and the recovery support functions. We'll also amend to include the membership to include the Hawaiian cultural advisor. And we'll also specify that the council will work with Maui-based businesses to the greatest extent possible. Any questions or discussion? Okay, so for SB 2836, chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Members, SB 2836, recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Any members voting with reservations? Any members voting no? With all others voting aye, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. For SB 3120 relating to HPHA, the chair's recommendation will be to pass this measure with amendments. There are technical, non-substantive amendments from SMA. Any questions? And why don't we also note in the committee report that the discussion that we had earlier about whether these functions are currently being performed by civil service employees and the need for the Chapter 76 exemption. Okay, so for SB 3120, chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Members, SB 3120, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye. Any members voting with reservations? Any members voting no? With all others voting aye. Oh, no from Senator Owa. Any other no votes or reservations? Hearing no others. All others voting aye. Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. Our next measure is SB 3121 relating to the Hawaii Public Housing Authority. Chair's recommendation will be to pass this measure unamended. Any discussion or questions? So for SB 3121, chair's recommendation is to pass unamended. Chair votes aye.
Members, SB 3121, recommendation chair is to pass unamended. Chair votes aye. Any members voting with reservations? Any members voting no? With all others voting aye, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And our last measure today is SB 3277 relating to public housing. So having had the discussion earlier with HPHA, it sounds like that there's an inherent conflict with HPHA's federal obligations, so that HPHA does make a case-by-case determination for tenants who have had an eviction proceeding initiated but have not had a writ of possession issued. That HPHA makes a case-by-case determination for those tenants on whether they're eligible, and we believe that that satisfies the intent of this measure. So the chair will be recommending that we'll be deferring this measure. Any discussion or questions? If not, that brings us to the end of this agenda. There being no further business, this hearing is adjourned.